Okay, so start another project. Talked about putting in a new rack, and interesting thing happened. I went out and purchased this cheaper rack, got it together. It's still 4 feet wide, but it just seems to sit a little different. It's obviously a lot shorter. I don't know if you can see that compared to the other rack, which had me thinking about space and the lights and the height of the lights to the plants. So I ended up moving everything I had over to the new rack, and I'm going to restructure the old rack and try to space it out differently so I can get the bigger plants up on it to see if we can't make some more room and have things grow a little better. My hope is to have at least 3 shelves over here. Maybe that's enough. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how it works. It actually took a lot longer just to figure out spacing on the new rack here, which is just a typical, I don't know, restaurant style rack. Again, this one was a little bit cheaper. I caught one of the last few ones. I think everything's kind of flying out the door while this pandemic goes on, but we'll see how that works. We'll see how the change up works. So each shelf, the depth of them, or how far away the plant is from the lights, is they got a little bit more room than what they had. Not a whole lot. Some more than others, but just wanted to show you that before we get started, and I end up throwing everything up on the rack again. The 4-foot lights will go on this rack, and we'll see how that plays out. And then we'll see how these plants fare, kind of a follow-up a little later on. I'll just keep with this a little bit, try to update for anybody who's actually interested. But I'll show you the lights here in the next segment that I got. They're not Barrina lights. I thought they were, but oddly enough, they're very, very, very similar. So I'll show you here in a second. So I wanted to talk about the lights. Initially, I did a couple of videos pointing out some things with the new 60-watt Monios lights. Here's hopefully you can read it. Not sure how you pronounce it. They're very similar to the Barrina lights. I thought they were. Wasn't paying attention. They look very similar. There are some subtle differences between the two. When I initially did the other videos, the lighting was poor, the sound was poor, and it just wasn't usable segments. So I don't have the boxes anymore. I already got rid of those. But just to real quickly go over the lights themselves, this 4-foot 60-watt Barrina lights, as you can see, the end connection there, very similar to the Barrina. It's a slight difference. You couldn't interchange the cables. They're that different, but it's slight. If you weren't paying attention, you wouldn't notice. Definitely very similar in the makeup of the light. Still very lightweight. Plugged in, they don't get very hot. And there's a couple more differences. It only comes with 2 light switches for the 4-pack of lights. So while it has a dual switch to turn one side on and the other side on, so you can cut down the amount of light you have or use the full spectrum, which is kind of cool. But it's still only 2 switches for 4 lights. Now you have enough daisy chain cords to connect them all, which is kind of nice. But if your setup is going to involve, like the original setup I had with the lights, I don't know what you do. You're either going to have to adjust things, move things around so that you can turn on half the lights at one time while the other lights are off. One of the cool things that did come in with these lights, I'm trying to get too close to the camera, these cables. There's enough to hang every light, and it allows you to loop it around your shelving unit, and then you can adjust it So hopefully this shows up on the video. The last time it did not, but there's a little piece of metal here that you push in and it slides in and out, and once you have it, it's supposed to stay. But this one I've been playing with and putting some stress on, so it's not holding as well. But for what it's going to do, it's going to hold up. It's going to hold your light in place, and you can raise or lower the light as you need to. The clips for the lights allow you just to connect right onto them, and I'll show you those real quick. These are the same as the Barrina lights. It's just a little slip-on clip. It just pops on like that, and then you have your connection. I'm using S-hooks for mine, but you could easily take this little clip, and pop it on like that. So there's your hanging light. And if you wanted to bring it all the way up, and there you go. So kind of a neat feature with these. It comes with, again, the Barrina lights also came with these anchors for drywall. You can these set of instructions actually show it to hang up if you needed to hang from the ceiling, but if you're putting them on a rack, you really don't need any of that. Still not certain what this is for. The instructions don't really say, and the instructions are, I mean, they're pretty basic and straightforward. Tells you what not to do and to do with plugging them in, but not real detailed. I don't think it really needs to be, but that's the lights. So again, the Monios or Monios 60-watt LED grow lights, and we're going to see how they fare. One thing I forgot to mention is it comes with reflectors just like the 2-foot Barrina lights do. They connect the exact same way. They slide in on the side right there. One side typically is easier to slide in than the other. It seems like it just slips in, whereas you might have to fight it on the other end. So I just flipped them around and went where it was easiest. Again, lightweight aluminum, so it's not overly heavy, but it does seem to do the job. I'll show you what I have on the rack already and how they're set up, but I just want to point out that these are just like the other ones to reflect the light back down, and they work in the same fashion. Alright, so another take on this, I'm going to show you the added little daisy chain cords that I showed you initially. Each end has to have two, so one for each side. So it does have, let's see if I can show this here. Still keep the mic close enough to catch everything. So there's two power buttons, one for each side of the lights. So I have them both on there. Well, let's show one on and one off. So there you can see, hopefully, sorry if this blinds you, but I just want to show, and then you have two lightsabers there. Alright, so there's that. Now with the white side, you can see there's only one, and I only have one cord connecting the two ends. So you're going to see the lid up on there. That might have been better to show you that to begin with, but here we are. So you do have to have two daisy chain cords, one for each side of the light. That being said, that makes a little more sense. So I'm going to connect the other daisy chain cord and kind of show this, and hopefully this works out well. Yeah, so there we go. Now you can see both ends on either side lit up. So that explains why you have the extra cords to link everything together. It takes 2 cords to daisy chain one light to the next one. On the other side, you don't have one on the end, and they have end caps to protect dust from getting in here. I think they are. I mean, there's nothing really in the instructions about it, but it makes the most sense. So that's another little tidbit about the light that I just noticed trying to put it together. So I'm kind of impressed with them. It's kind of nice that they have that lowering cable. That's probably going to come in handy. I think it will come in handy. I might try to raise and lower them, see how that works, and well, once I get it up and going, we'll take a look at it. Alright folks, here is the setup. We're going to see how this goes. Got shelving's all in, lights are all in, ceiling fan is in. And the ceiling fan is actually doing what I really wanted it to do, is produce just a little bit of air, not a whole lot, but just enough. I don't know if it's going to quite be powerful enough. But let me flip on the rest of these lights, kind of get a view of what they're like. So that's that. So definitely for the larger containers, I'm going to see how they do, and then want to see what I can put in the other 2 shelves to kind of keep them going. But this is the second stage to everything. It's February 14th, technically. Definitely should be in bed, but I haven't made it there yet. But I wanted to get everything done, wanted to get everything tied in and pretty much squared away for this. So yeah, let's give it a couple weeks and see what happens. Okay, we're a couple weeks with the new lights up on the rack. I moved the lettuce over. It is continuing to grow. It's growing pretty well. I'm gonna have to trim some of it. Looking forward to seeing how it tastes, how well it does. Everything else is still growing pretty well. I think the larger lights, the plants have responded to a little better than the 24 watt lights. Although everything that's under the 24 watts is still growing. Still getting there. I'll show you real quick the sunflowers. Really getting big. Continue to grow. And the strawberry plant actually started to bloom. It had a pod on it when I moved it from under the 24 watt light to the 60 watt light. And then within 2 days, the flower started to flower. Now I have 3, maybe 4 coming in. So I'm pretty impressed with how quick everything's responding to the light. Now again, these are not professional grow lights. They're not high output lights by any means. Clearly by me saying they're 60 watt, that should be a clue that this is just an inexpensive option for people to try. This part of my experiment was to see if I could get stuff to grow and maintain it here. So far, so good. The original herbs still growing, getting bigger. I did bring in a box fan because I wasn't getting quite the circulation throughout, and I wanted to kind of push the plants around a little bit to kind of get them a little stronger. My bell peppers are really starting to go. The tiger eye sunflower, I'm going to have to replant here pretty soon to allow it to grow a little bigger, a little stronger. It'll go back on the bigger rack. The peaches are still going, so that's a good sign. overall, I'm thinking both of these are a success. I'm thinking if I had initially started with the 60-watt lights, I probably would have used the lowering cable, because that would help you raise it up and down if you want to be that active with it. Everything I did, though, is very little effort. Pretty much the biggest effort was putting things together and then putting the lights on. Once those are on, that they were kind of left to do their own thing. Now for this new rack, there's roughly about 16 inches between the shelves, except for the top one, which is a little bit smaller, of course, because we're running out of room. They, for whatever reason, well, I know the reason, just the way this sets up allowed me more space for the shorter shelves. With the larger rack, with the height of it, and then trying to put everything on it and space it out, utilizing it for small growth stuff probably would have been, I don't know, would have been advantageous if you're only sticking with small growth. The microgreens, that option, you have more racks with this bigger rack, or more shelves, I should say. A little bit more flexibility in it too. The more expensive rack, fairly simple to put together, but I'm going to say it's not as easy to adjust, because you've got to pop the shelf all the way off. You've got to move the little couplers here that connect everything, or at least hold the shelves in place, and then trying to get them level, as opposed to this rack where you just pick up each section, take it off, put it on the next one, or raise it up or down, however you want it. But everything functions pretty well. I'm happy with it. We'll keep doing updates on the growth and see how it does after I trim the lettuce and see if it comes back. That'll be an interesting thing. We'll see if we get a strawberry to grow. That'll be a telltale thing. But I'm also gonna start another round of seeds here in a couple weeks, so that as the lettuce dies off, I have some more growing again. See what we do with the tomato plants. But so far so good. I think the experiment has worked well. Definitely can grow on a small scale what you need with these lights. I haven't forayed into the vegetable side. I mean, we have the tomatoes going. The lettuce is more just of a leafy green, so that's not really a test in my mind. The tomatoes will be, and I want to try a cucumber plant. We'll see how the bell peppers fare, but those are going to go outdoors. They just take a long time to grow, and a long time to produce. And we have such a short season here in Colorado. Need to get stuff in the ground as soon as possible without it freezing, which is another problem, because we do get the late freeze in spring. But there's an update. Again, hope this video is valuable to someone on some level. If it shows at least the growth stages a little bit. I know it's not perfect. I'm not really skilled in doing videos, but this has been fun. So again, hopefully it helps somebody.